Okay, so this video is video 62 on averages and the range. I'll be looking at the three averages: mean, median and mode, and the range, which is a measure of spread. Okay, I will start with a question like this, which looks pretty good. So this is an example of a question to do with height, and it asks us to work out the range of heights. So range simply is the biggest take away the smallest. Biggest subtract the smallest. So in this case, it can sometimes be useful, particularly if you're working out the median, to put them in order. So you may want to put the data in order straight away, which I'm not going to do just to save a bit of time. But in our case, I'm looking for the biggest number here, which is 190, the smallest number here, which is 151, and I'm literally just going to subtract the two from each other, which gives me a total of 39. So that's the range of the data. Okay, that tells you how spread out the data is. Okay, now the mode. Now for the mode, which is another type of average, the mode is the most common. I'm just going to write that down here, most common. Obviously, the mode is only useful when you have repeated data. So in some situations, the question might ask you, why is the mode not a good average? That might be, an answer for that question might be because there's no repeated data. In our example, there is a repeated number. There's a 171, and then there's another 171. So in our case, we do have a modal average, which is 171. But if, for example, I didn't have a repeat, then the mode wouldn't be useful. Now finally, the mean. So to work out the mean, you want to do the sum of data divided by the total frequency, meaning how much data there is, effectively. So I'm going to do the sum of this data, adding up all these numbers together. 155, add 171, add 164, add 167, add 188, add 190, add 151. That gives me a total of 1186, and I'm dividing by the sum. I already know, it tells me in the question there are 8 people, so 1186 divided by 8 gives me a mean of 148.25. Now again, I want you to be thinking about when this might not be an appropriate average. So understanding that in this case it is, because centimeters, height of things, is something that can be measured accurately. It's on a linear scale, so I can get very, very accurate. If I had a microscope, I could get really, really accurate to the nearest decimals of a millimeter. Tiny, tiny, tiny lengths. Whereas if it was something like shoe size, you can't be so accurate, because you're either an 8 or an 8.5. If you ended up with a mean average of 8.27, you don't go to the shop and say, I'd like an 8.27 shoe, please. There's no such thing. You get an 8 or you get an 8.5. So yeah, the mean can sometimes be inappropriate if we're talking about, for example, shoe size, or money is another good example, because money has to be 2 decimal places. So if you end up with an answer that's not 2 decimal places, maybe the mean isn't a good average to use. Okay, I'm also going to look at one more question in here, which is this one. So this is an example of when you're missing some data. So I'll just give you a chance to read the question. By all means, pause the video if you want to have a go at this yourself. I'm skipping part A, by the way. I'm just going to ignore part A. I'm looking at part B. So here are 6 cards. There is a number on each card. 2 of the numbers are hidden. The mode of the 6 numbers is 4. The mean of the 6 numbers is 5. Work out the 2 numbers that are hidden. Now, to work out these 2 numbers, I need to use these 2 lines here. These 2 lines are very important. If the mean is 5, then I know that when I add them all together, and then I divide by 6, so if I just put something divided by 6, my answer comes out as 5. So using our inverse operations, I'm going to work out what they must add up together to make. So the opposite of dividing by 6 is timesing by 6. So I'm going to times by 6, which tells me that the total is going to be 30. Now so far, the total I've got, 4 add 5 is 9, 9 add 6 is 15. 15 add 3 is 18. So I've got 18 so far. And I know that between these two numbers, I have to be able to make 12. Okay, so these two numbers need to be 12 together, because altogether it needs to make 18. Sorry, it needs to make 30, apologies. So 18 to 30, I need another 12, basically, right? So I need this number and this number make 12 altogether. And the fact that the mode is 4 means one of them has to be a 4. So let's just put a 4 in here. Now, if that was a 4, what does this have to be to make the total of these two 12, which would therefore make the entire total 30? Well, it has to be an 8. So the two numbers are therefore 4 and 8. Okay? Thank you very much.